memory, and this is about Jack Morgan. It was a rainy, misty day late in September. It was a Tuesday afternoon around 3 o'clock, and I remember because it was the first time I was venturing out on the golf course all by myself. I stood back as a threesome went up to the tee, and all of a sudden, one of the members turned and said, "Would you care to join us?" So I said, "Sure." And I ran up to the first tee, and I focused really hard to make sure I hit the tiny white golf ball, because I wanted to make sure they would let me play with them the rest of the day. We all walked up to our second shot, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. Somehow, Jack, the gentleman who invited me to play, sensed this, and he said, "Why don't you take your 7-iron? I thought, good idea. So I took my 7-iron and I, boom! So down the fairway we went. And so began a 10-year relationship with Jack and I, of him teaching me how to play golf, but also mentoring me in life. Jack was a retired New York City police officer, and he walked the street in Manhattan when not only was there no such thing as cell phones, but there was no such thing as a two-way radio. He was 18 years old when he fought in Okinawa during World War II. And he used to say to me, "Michelle, we were just kids." And he said, we were so scared. He said missiles would be flying in, landing over the ship in the water about 50 yards away. And he said they would be telling us that it was just a practice mission. Jack taught me everything I needed to know about golf. He taught me what club to use where to put the ball in my stance, and how to read the green. And while he was doing this, he would interject these beautiful words of wisdom that I didn't realize at the time, but they were actually shaping me and guiding me into being the person that I am today. For example, this one particular day, I couldn't do anything right. And I was getting so frustrated. So I took my club and I shoved it in my bag, I picked up the ball, I strapped my clubs on the back, and I turned away from Jack and the golf course, determined never to look back. I got about 50 yards out, and he called out to me. He goes, "Are you just gonna give up in life when things get hard?" I stopped. I was trying to process what he was saying, and the tears just started streaming down my face, and I didn't quite know what to do. But I turned back to Jack and the golf course, and I have never walked away from a challenge since. Jack taught me all the rules that existed in the USGA handbook at the time. I said to him, "Do I really have to know all this?" And he said, "Yes, you do." He said, "Because someday you're going to be playing a tournament and someone's going to call you on it." So I didn't realize at the time he was really teaching me how to abide by rules and company policies, and I think he's made me a better worker for that, but not only for me, but making it a healthier work environment for those who are working with me. Jack one day says to me, he goes, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself." He goes, "You're hitting all the greens in regulation, but you're 3-putting. He goes, "Let me get behind you to see what you're doing wrong." I said, "Okay." So I take my stance for my putt, and there's Jack. He's crouched right in my eye view. So I said, "Can you move, please? You're making me nervous." And he stood up, and he said, "What is this word nervous?" He said, "You tell me you're nervous when your airplane has run out of gas and you can't make it back to the aircraft carrier. Then you can tell me you're nervous." Well, I've rarely used the word nervous since then. But the most profound thing, or the thing that resonated with me the most that Jack ever said was when one day We were both playing a really good round of golf, and we're walking down the fairway, and out of the blue, Jack just turns to me and says, "Michelle, always remember this." He said, "When you choose to do evil, you go outside the realm of God's protection." And I was like, what? I was only in my mid-20s, so I didn't quite understand what he said. But I realized I ponder it almost every day since. Jack has long since passed away. And I never got to thank him for not only being my mentor, but being my friend. But somehow, I know he knows I'm grateful. So thanks, Jack, and thank you.
Oh.